Good morning, good evening, everyone. This is Ludica Pekina with GAI Insights. Welcome to Daily AI News. Today, I have Adam, Paul, and two wonderful guest analysts, Kevin Petrie, who is with Bark and appears periodically with us, and Sandeep Sasheri, who is a global innovation leader with companies like American Express, now turned entrepreneur. Welcome, Sandeep and Kevin.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Great. You can find the articles at gaiinsights.com/articles. And please follow along and let us know what you think as we progress in comments. We really appreciate your input. So let's start with the first article. And this is actually from Harvard Business Review, and the article is called How GenAI Could Transform Learning and Development. What did you think about this, Adam? And please tell us what the article is about.
Yeah, sure. So first, what I thought, it's an immensely important topic. I'm glad they're taking the time to discuss it. This article itself, perhaps I would consider optional. On the verge, I think I could sway easily to important. So they're talking about how really generative AI is highlighting these really critical human skills, right? And that those become even more important when you're working with these AIs. And as you build confidence, you need these skills like how to frame problems and understand how to tell the AI the result you want to get, problem solve with it, those sorts of things, how to make AI-enabled decision-making. So it gives some kind of pretty good points, but pretty general ones, I guess I'd say. But as I said, it's an immensely important topic. They have a stat in there that unfortunately I think is probably a bit outdated, so it doesn't hold as much weight as it sounds. But they say that organization-wide adoption remains low. Only 6% of companies have managed to train more than a quarter of their workforce on GenAI tools, right? And sort of widespread adoption is definitely going to need immense organizational enablement. But this stat is from early 2024, which means it's almost a year and a half old. So the fact that it was only 6% at 25% a year and a half ago doesn't really tell us much, actually. So this article does kind of a weak point of making an important point, but it is an important point nonetheless.
Okay, so optional to important from Adam. What did you think, Sandeep?
I was in the camp of important to optional as well. And I'll give you my rationale. I think companies do need to invest in L&D. That's been one neglected area for a long time now. Used to be back in the day, L&D was an important function in most companies, but now it has not been. And as the world changes, it has to become more important. That said, the article was low in specifics on how to go about doing it, as well as before L&D, there needs to be a culture of learning that requires, top-down and bottom-up, a change in the way organizations are run. So I would focus first on culture creation, and then go into how to implement L&D across the organization.
Okay, thank you, Sandeep. Kevin, what were your thoughts when you looked at this?
So I actually had a paywall issue with this one, which means I didn't get to spend much time on it. I agree it's a huge topic. I'm probably going to withhold my vote on this particular one. Apologize for the cross signals.
Okay, I was actually on essential because this is the article. The article talks about the experiment with putting AI tutor versus an in-person tutor and comparing the results. And actually, the AI tutor did as well as the in-person, but had pluses and some minuses. But pluses were personalization and actually digging into the environment of the person a little bit better and getting that person equipped with the right skills. So and then it goes on. So I think it's a type of an article that one can forward to a number of leaders to pay attention. Paul, where were you
Yeah, I'm Lou, I'm with you on Essential. I agree. It's not that good article. The topic is so important. Sandeep, I really like your notion of having a culture of learning. So much of what I've seen in L&D, it's a culture of compliance. So L&D's budget's spent on compliance for security and sexual harassment, and and maybe the departments do something else. And we know learning is the new oil. So if Sandeep and I are competing and he's got a learning organization that's better than mine, he beats me in the next 2 to 3 years in this age of AI. So I don't think there's enough discussion on this. I think it's very affordable on that. I think the second thing is we've got 15 CIOs coming to their conference Monday and Tuesday, and we're doing a lot of prep with them. I asked every one of them, Adam, what's the number one thing you know now you wish you knew 12 months ago? 3/4 of them say, I wish I would spend more time with AI literacy and the stakeholders around AI because they didn't really understand this. So it just is we're just seeing it. And one of the last thing is and because of demand, we're going to be start kicking off in middle October free Copilot and ChatGPT employee training virtually because there's such a need out there for that. So it's a great topic, forward around, decent. The article lacks thing, but it needs to be said. And the last thing is we're also moving into budget season here. So as October turns over, companies are going to be allocating budget discussions on where they want to spend this. This needs to be in the
timing's right.
Right. And it goes a little deeper beyond AI literacy. It talks about, how do you, it's AI literacy plus, how do you navigate, right? How do you navigate the cultural structures and how do you use it across? So I'm thinking essential, guys. Can live with that. Kevin?
Can't stop you.
You're the politest dictator ever, Luda. John's not doing anything you're asking.
Okay, essential it is. Let's proceed to the next one. So this has come from CIO, related topics, and a related topic about the culture changes and upskilling. The article is called The New Org Chart, Unlocking Value with Native Roles in the Agentic Era. So what did you think about this, Sandeep? And also, please summarize it if you could.
Absolutely. First of all, I found the article well written and quite thought-provoking. The fact that organization structures are designed to get work done efficiently, that's the nature of the firm. Robert Solow, kind of articulated many years ago why a firm exists. And as workflows get transformed from humans doing all the work to agents, AI agents doing the work, it is important that we understand what the organizational structure needs to be. And this article does provoke, kind of like contemplation on what that concept could be. I'd still say that the article, I would consider this in the optional category. And for very, basic reason of that, most companies are far away from agentifying their workflows, let alone actually utilizing AI effectively across their organizations. So this is one of those champagne problems that you're worrying about. How should we organize colonies on Mars before we even land there? So I'm in this camp of optional, but a good thought-provoking evening conversation.
I see. Okay. Optional from Sandeep. What did you think, Kevin?
Great point, Sandeep. I think that some of the positions were definitely on Mars. Some of them were a little closer, say the moon or even on Earth. It is a thought-provoking article. It's well written. It's thoughtful, and I found myself nodding because I think a lot of them are very logical as they pertain to the governance specialist, the data engineer, that role evolving. I think that some of them where you've got these visions of teams of agents, most companies are not ready for teams of agents. They can think about it, but that's a 3 to 5 year plan because of the so many points of risk and failure involved. So I come down on important or even essential. I'm going to say essential because I think it does help people think creatively about how to evolve their roles. There are some companies that are taking bold bets now. Moderna comes to mind because they promoted their head of HR to be head of technology, including IT and AI. And I think that's the reason is that they're trying to think about how teams of agents can work alongside teams of people. And so there are certain companies that are taking big, bold bets. Those are the ones to learn from to see how these ideas here are actually working in reality. But I would say essential because it helps people look ahead.
Yeah, I was in the same camp, Kevin. What did you think about this, Adam?
I was squarely in important. I felt like it was a little too forward-looking, I guess, a little too future-forward, as Sandeep said, to really be practical or meaningful. But at the same time, it is important. I guess I dial back from essential because it's a little too forward-looking to really be actionable. But Kevin made such a compelling argument about the people making big, bold moves are the ones we want to be watching that I think I might be swayed.
And they might misstep, but we got to keep an eye on them.
All right. See,
now's
the
the time.
article
Now's the
goes
time to do
through.
it. Yeah.
So again, Paul just mentioned the new budgets for next year and also strategy development for next year. As you start thinking about it, this article is quite important, right? If not essential, to step back and say, look at how would maybe I should put new roles of the orchestrator of the agents, the security chief of the agents and the like to push the organization going forward. So what did you think about this, Paul?
Yeah, I agree. Sandeep. Definitely way ahead of everyone. But I do think it's important, at least. One of the companies, and I agree, 99% of companies I talk about don't have anything close to production. But one of the companies that does is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, which is speaking on Monday. They have 151 agents in production. They are learning so much. And one of the key things they're learning is most of those agents are going after unstructured data. And Sandeep, one of the challenges they've had, they realized they've had all these IT projects that each one was going after unstructured data. So they're actually moving towards having a center of excellence on unstructured data management just to get some more efficiencies out of it, which makes all the sense in the world. We don't need 15 different people going to grab unstructured policies here. So I think in terms of understanding where the leaders are going and how real this has become. Adam, go back a year ago and we were saying agents, that's 5 years out and, everything else. And it's really, really developed
It's now.
So,
right. Okay.
Important.
I want to say essential, but I hear you guys. So important it is. Let's say important. But this is, I will be forwarding this article to a whole bunch of people. Okay. Important it is. Let's proceed to the next one. Next one is from VentureBeat, and it's a brief article talking about how Intuit built custom financial LLMs that cut latency 50% while boosting accuracy, and what enterprise AI teams can learn from it. And Kevin, what did you think about this one?
Great. Sean's a smart guy. I like him. He's quoted me in some of his articles, so I appreciate. And I think this is a good article about solving the technical problem of improving performance and also taking GenAI models. Most organizations don't have the resources to actually fine-tune those things and fine-tune domain-specific models. They took the time to do that in order to boost accuracy. So they boosted it from 50% to 90%. That's great. But to be an essential article, I think you'd have to say, how do you make sure that that people are not filing 90% accurate tax returns, or small businesses are not maintaining 90% accurate P&L statements? There's a 10% gap there. Hallucinations matter, and it doesn't say how they're making sure that the actual forms, which you cannot afford to get wrong, are 100% accurate. That's what I found missing in the workflow, and it's sort of endemic of a broader blind spot in our industry right now, where we're not quite spending enough time to talk about the hallucinations, because getting from 50% accuracy to 90%, that's great, but nobody wants a 90% accurate tax return.
Yep. Okay,
so I'd say important.
You're giving it optional, important?
I would say important. It's talking about a technical solution to improve accuracy, reduce performance. It's not saying how it delivered the customer value, and that would be required to be essential.
Okay. Sounds good. Adam, what did you think?
I was on more on the optional camp. I'm not sure what an AI leader would take away from this, or how they could actually apply it. It just didn't have enough I guess even if you want to consider it a use case, it just didn't have enough of either the technical details or the the outcomes.
Yeah.
For me.
Okay. All right. Sandeep, what were your thoughts?
I'm in the same category as optional, light on details, but inspiring nevertheless. It does utilize this new way of thinking about generative operating system, and that's a good way if you really do believe that your company needs to be expansive about leveraging AI across the board. That's a good way of framing the strategy and
Yeah.
getting the troops to rally behind that. But the article was light on details and really didn't talk about, and even the one example of customer leveraging it and benefiting from it, that is so simplistic an example and such a small number savings that you kind of scratch your head and say, is this real or is this more marketing still?
Yeah. Yeah. Puff piece, as
Yeah.
some people would call it. Paul, final word.
Optional.
Yeah, optional it is. Let's proceed to the next one. The next one is from Anthropic, and it's a use case about Notion. Notion creates more intelligent workspaces with Claude. And this was,
So me, Luda.
yeah, Adam, please.
Sure. So this is a cool piece. I think I'd probably throw it in the optional nonetheless. It's really the story about some of the cool things that Notion is doing with AI and the way that they're using AI and all of the really great practical ways we would expect you could use AI on a text-based platform like theirs, or not even text, but database platform, in terms of the ways that AI can assist, right? Helping write things, helping fill in information, knowledge retrieval and question and answer. And those are all great use cases. And it's great that they're using Claude. They give some metrics around customers then who use Notion and the results they've had of having that solution that uses Claude under the hood. I don't know to what degree Claude really has an impact. Obviously, it's the one of choice here, but similar solutions could be built on many platforms. They talk about a 35% reduction in time spent searching for information by Osaka Gas, and a few other metrics that almost made it sound like a good use case, but it just didn't have enough detail about how they actually do it or how my organization could do it other than using Notion, which, I mean, for people who don't know, it's an incredible platform and it's used by SMB to Fortune 100s. But I don't think we necessarily need to put a Notion and a Claude commercial in front of our AI leaders.
Okay, so optional from Adam, I take it. Sandeep, what did you think?
I'm in the same camp, optional. It did look like a marketing piece and not that many details, but nevertheless, it does. It is thought provoking. It felt like Microsoft Copilot with better integration, if you will. So I'm in the optional camp.
Optional. Okay.
The one thing I will call out is it talked about Claude's prompt caching, which had a 90% reduction in cost and 80% in latency. So that is a significant capability, but lots of tools have prompt caching now. But it's certainly probably the most useful thing I took away from the article.
Yeah, another thing that I noticed is Notion is certainly a semantic structure that is movable, right? And so a lot of what we are getting, and the trend is to get the memory and the document repositories to be very intelligent, right? And have metastructures on top of it. And Kevin, you can talk more about this, right? But this is with Notion that is really pushing the envelope in that regard. It is much easier to layer the metastructures on top of it. And that's why it's very useful. Kevin, what did you think?
Yeah, I think great point, Luda. And I tend to agree with folks with Sandeep and Adam. I think this is optional. Not big surprising use cases, sort of what you'd expect. A year and a half ago, pretty cool stuff, but now run of the mill.
Okay. All right. Going optional, Paul?
Yes.
Okay. Let's proceed. So the next one is a Wall Street Journal take on the partnership of NVIDIA and OpenAI. NVIDIA is investing $100 billion over time in OpenAI, and Wall Street Journal proposes suggests a different spin that we took away yesterday. So it was Sandeep, right? Sandeep, what did you think about this one?
This was an important, or actually an essential article for anybody, whether you're interested in AI or not. If you are invested in the stock market, if you have a 401k, you really should read this article and truly think about what does it mean. NVIDIA is making some interesting moves over the last, week or 10 days, which are somewhat head scratchers, but also kind of like, this is a new way of thinking about the world. They made an investment in Intel. That was pretty significant competitor investment. Then they're making this investment in OpenAI, $100 billion. Now they're investing essentially to have the customer utilize their infrastructure, which is interesting. So NVIDIA is generating massive amounts of cash. So they got to park it somewhere. So you might as well invest in the infrastructure that you truly believe in. So you could take this as a true commitment by Jensen to the AI ecosystem, and the future he believes is super bright, and this is a way of showing that. Conversely, this is a house of cards, and this is going to all come for crashing because it's really just 5 or 6 players that are investing in each other, and that would be a worrisome, way of thinking about things.
Okay.
Nevertheless, Jensen's got the Buffett effect right now going, right? So you could call it almost like the Jensen effect.
Yes.
And he put a little bit of money, and guess what? His returns increase. Interestingly, a day later increase anyways. So
yeah, the market certainly applauded it, right?
Exactly.
So, the article talks about NVIDIA investing in other companies, not just OpenAI, and as a result, it's at lower margin. These companies actually buy the NVIDIA chips, boosting the revenue, but at maybe lower margin, and NVIDIA gets more cash, right? Because the stock.
Exactly, it's a circular economy,
right? Yeah, and so the market says, "Yay!" What did you think about this, Adam?
So it is staggering. I also know last night you reviewed the news about this investment. So this is really an article on top of that, which is why I thought perhaps important. I'm not sure how much we've already discussed or flagged this to the leader. For that reason, it is immensely important at that. And this flywheel, as they described there, where if NVIDIA invests $10 billion in a company, the company will spend $35 billion on NVIDIA chips. That's their current rate of return. So not only are they getting equity in these companies by investing in them, but they're actually then getting 3.5x multiple on that investment back in money spent to them, back in their own ledger. It's just the economy of it is insane.
Yeah.
So for that reason, it might be essential for people to understand what's going on.
How it works, right. So Kevin, agree with essential?
I think essential. In 1999, a lot of booming tech companies bankrolled their customers, and it didn't bother anyone until it did. I think everyone agrees there's a lot of demand for AI.
Yeah.
But this is not a recipe for long-term success.
Probably, yes, agree. Paul, going essential.
Yeah, right. And we had also this yesterday in essential. I think just a few other comments. I think one is continue to show that OpenAI's got the sugar daddies of Oracle and NVIDIA as they divorce with Microsoft. I think second, in the Wall Street Journal today, OpenAI is talking about $1 trillion investment in data centers in Texas. So I think it's really important for AI leader to make sure their CEO and CFO understands that Mount Everest are moving around here in this type of thing. And we're going to see more of this. And Kevin, I totally agree with you. Having lived through the .com, we saw tons of deals where I would buy your product, and who knows what kind of side deals there are for, stock in OpenAI. So this may be a massive money winner for NVIDIA and all these things here. And we've got, Fermi America, it came out of nowhere, and they're going to go public here. We saw so there's a lot of major structural things. And I think one thing that's really interesting is a lot of this is starting to stack up around the U.S. Sovereign nation thing here. So this whole U.S.-China thing continues to battle out. So because of all those reasons, reinforcing essential, Luda.
Yeah, essential it is. Let's proceed to the last one. The last one is about Microsoft discovery, I guess, or a breakthrough in technology. And the article is called AI Chips Are Getting Hotter. A microfluidics breakthrough goes straight to the silicon to cool up to 3 times better. What did you think about this, Kevin?
Very interesting. Microsoft is one of these gorillas that's looking to improve other aspects of the tech stack in order to make sure that it can remove bottlenecks from AI processing. And they have pretty interesting, vivid descriptions. You can kind of see here all the little rivers that these microfluids are supposed to flow through in order to cool down chips. The traditional way to do it is to have a cold plate, which is not as close to the silicon itself. It's hard to make the fluid flow just the way it's supposed to, so pretty intricate, cool stuff, and supposedly the benefits will be compelling. Ultimately, I think this is optional for the AI leader. As a headline, it's worth knowing that Microsoft is investing in removing cooling from the list of bottlenecks for improvements to AI processing power. But I don't think ultimately this affects the way AI leaders should be structuring their projects for the near term.
Yeah, microfluidics is not new, and all of that has been going on for a decade for sure. But this is a breakthrough. This is getting to real implementation. It sounds like going optional here. Sandeep, what were your thoughts?
Same optional here as well, but I was geeking out on this article. It was just
it's cool stuff.
Big time.
Cool
Big
stuff.
time,
So,
man.
if you're into that stuff, then I'd say read it. It's nice to understand those rivers flowing through the chip and all this. Like, wow, what kind of technological breakthroughs are happening in the world, and that actually bodes very well for the future of AI and all the processing power that the world needs. So scaling is far from done, and that's a good sign.
Yeah, and they talk about like a Teams call and how this can parallelize processes that are involved in supporting the Teams call. And so we haven't seen anything yet, actually, in terms of the how fast it will go when the likes of these technologies are deployed. But it sounds like optional. Optional, Paul?
Yes, optional.
Optional. Okay. So as Adam prepares the card, any announcements? I know the conference is sold out. Paul, congrats.
Yes, we are sold out. Super exciting. The fire marshal at the Heinz Convention Center in Boston are pretty strict. And Kevin, they don't want me shoehorning more people in there. So I'm really excited about that. We will have a streaming. So we have a main room and then 5 breakouts. So we'll be streaming live 9 to 5, the main room, all Monday and Tuesday, and that will be free on YouTube. So super excited about that.
Yeah, please watch if you are not coming to the conference. We will not have the morning news on Monday and Tuesday. We will be at the conference. The conference will be streaming, so spend time watching the conference, please. And we'll be back to you on Wednesday. Any other announcements? Kevin, Sandeep?
Looking forward to the event. I recommended 5 questions to answer at GAI World next week, and would welcome feedback. That's on LinkedIn.
Wonderful. Okay, for today we have, and an announcement from me, Women Applying AI are going live. That's a community for women to learn and lead with AI. And it's going live this Friday, and the event is sold out also. So, that's really cool. Okay, so we have two essentials for today, one important, and the rest are optional. So thank you for listening. Thank you for participating, Valda, Ashish, Ram, really appreciate it. And Kevin and Sandeep, thank you very much for joining, and thank you for your comments. Very, very well received. Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.